People want to know what's up with space weather, so let's do it. We got lots of sunspots. We got a high radio flux. We got the SDO main site down. You can still get the data. I mean, is the world ending? Certainly not. Do our finest days lie ahead? Certainly so. Let's get into it. So, if you're not familiar with space weather, maybe you're new to the channel. Don't forget to press the subscribe button if that's the case. Also, press like, share, and comment. Thanks to everybody who has. Space weather is about the weather from the ionosphere on up, okay? Earth has a neutral atmosphere. That is where weather occurs. All of our weather occurs in the troposphere and the lower part of the stratosphere. Space weather is what occurs from the ionosphere on up. The part of the atmosphere you live in contains mostly neutral particles. The ionosphere contains mostly ions. That is where space weather begins. And ultimately, it is the area between the Earth and Sun that matter when it comes to space weather. Now, yes, the Sun itself also matters because things can happen on the far side of the Sun that can cause massive geomagnetic storms right here on good old planet Earth. So that's a little bit about space weather. Allow me to talk a little bit about things like sunspot number, radio flux, filaments, and so forth. Do we have any earthly directed CMEs? The answer is, I don't think so. But you'll find out when I do. That's the beauty of a live stream, right? Okay, so, sup with that. Sup with that space weather. Sunspot number is an important aspect of it, as we have the 11-year solar sunspot cycle. And we're just coming off of solar maximum right now. So we've got this all queued up already here as far as Earth-directed CMEs and coronal hole high-speed streams. Things are looking pretty well. There is one CME which could have a glancing blow, but it's very minor, so we're not expecting any major space weather on the way in the coming days. Sunspot number has gone up a little bit in the past couple of days here. It's now at 161 sunspots. Radio flux, which is measured in solar flux units, that is a solar flux unit is 10,000 Jansky. That's a measure of radio flux density traveling through a vacuum. And 177 solar flux units is the radio flux. All right, so, and I'll get to your comments here in a minute after I go over the rest of the space weather stats. Next is the solar wind. Solar wind is currently quite nominal here. It's a little bit elevated, but very, very low density according to the ACE. The density here showing at 1/10 of a proton per cubic centimeter. So that's extremely low density solar wind. And remember, folks, it is measured at Lagrangian 0.1, a million miles. A million miles from Earth, approximately. The spacecraft orbit L1, Lagrangian 0.1. These are, you know, they're the size of subcompact automobiles or something like that. And they're orbiting quite a large space. So, but that is a gravitational equilibrium point in between the Earth and the Sun, where those spacecraft can orbit that equilibrium point at very little use of fuel. So anyway, yeah, solar wind, really, really low density. Let me just take a look at the other spacecraft here for once. I don't always do that, but today I'm going to do it because it's so insanely low that you could say it seems abnormal. Let's just look at the Discover, since the ACE is the current craft that we're getting that low measurement from. So only 1/10 of a proton per cubic centimeter there from ACE, and Discover is offline. So solar wind density is really low. That is anomalously low, and that's suspect. Suspect data there. So I'm just going to leave this on the active spacecraft, which again is the ACE. And it's been looking anomalous here for about over 2 days now. You know, the last measurements that were more reasonable came around the 22nd. So like this is like 3-day 3 days of very low density, and we do see some little spikes here, but yeah, that's very sus that the solar wind would be that low of a density for that long. But the speed is slightly elevated, so this could be like the trailing end of a weak coronal hole high-speed stream. We often do see these low densities in coronal hole high-speed streams. So magnetic field is pretty weak. It's only 5 nanotesla, and the BZ is -3. So that's not going to create any geomagnetic storm conditions unless something drastically changes with the solar wind. No solar energetic particles. Cosmic ray flux remains at a 20-year low. The GOES X-ray flux here is showing just C-class background flux with no major flaring. Again, no major CMEs headed Earth's way. And what do you got? Filaments? You got filaments? Oh, there are filaments. You don't worry about filaments. We got them. And sometimes we name them after living people. You know, using the hashtag #NameThatFilament on Twitter. You know what Twitter is. It's that platform with the that nobody's going to stop calling Twitter. All right, so next I'll show you some imagery here of the closest star, because when you're stargazing, there's no better one to gaze at than the closest one. El Sol, there it is for the past few hours there, complete with your time and date stamps. So I'll let that play here while I get to your chats. Hopefully they're not imbecile. Did you know imbecile is an adjective? Yeah, did you know that, folks? Imbecile is an adjective. It's not only a verb. So visit our Redbubble shop if you'd like to get yourself a nice t-shirt that says imbecile. It's also an adjective. So the sentence, don't be an imbecile, comma, imbecile. Don't be an imbecile, imbecile, imbecile. You could say it 3 times. Because the last one will be an insult, so that's after the comma. You could say, don't be an imbecile, imbecile. An extremely stupid person who is also described as an extremely stupid person. It's an adjective and a noun. So enjoy that little tidbit of info. Ah, yes, the GOES 19. A little higher resolution than the GOES 16, which we viewed for years and loved dearly. Thanks, Janelle. Yes, it hurt. Lisa, hello, pro. Cheers. Paul Fishoy says, Jesus loves you. Thank you. Sincerely yours says, Austin or The Rock. By the way, if you, BG, yes, you can ask a question. Mike, shoot, what's the question? Black women or Asian women? Mike says both. Yeah, if you were asking me, I would say the same. Ashkba, Har Har Madev. Okay. All right, so it's time to end this stream. That's your space weather. I mean, it's chill. It is chill. The world's not ending. If somebody's telling you it's the end of days, tell them our finest lie ahead. Like that's it. Like, I mean, I can show you some more imagery here from Soho, but it's so let's see. Let's show a current. Here's a current image of. That's not current. 284 angstroms is one of the Soho wavelengths. So, like, there you go. There's an image from today from Soho. Yeah, there's a coronal hole. So we can expect a high-speed wind from that in a few days. It's quite a well-defined coronal hole there. And its orientation is, I don't know. I think it's South Pole oriented, but I can't remember. And the National Sunspot Observatory is down. So maybe it's because of tariffs. Maybe it's because of direct shutdowns. Who knows? But it's down, as so many science sites are. So anyway, enjoy that. That's always fun. And we'll see you soon here at the Smash News Network, least busted name of news. I'll end with some GOES 16 SUVI here. And how about if I leave the stream running? Great question, Alexander. Yes, I play football. My great grandfather was one of the best goalies in the world. Played for the Bethlehem Steelers. Was from Scotland. I'll play halfback all day. All day. The only reason I wouldn't play forward is because I like the defense part. I play the whole field. We can leave the live stream going indefinitely, folks, so let us know. Thanks for asking, Mick B. It's not live sun footage, but it is the last about 3 hours. Mick B. So it's near real-time imagery. Great question, Wendy. Those are the places where there is a lot of helium. So what you're looking at there is a helium graph. Great question, Wendy. Those are the places where there is. Sorry about the echo there. I had my PC speakers on. So the reason you see white there is because those are the areas where there is a lot of helium. All right. So the 304 angstroms wavelength is ionized helium. That is helium that has no electrons on it. And so those white areas, those are areas of very high helium density, which occur especially around the active regions. So the region that you see setting there on the lower right, that's the southwestern limb of the sun. That active region there is by far the most likely spot to see a large solar flare today. It does make this somewhat relevant to stream because there is a slightly higher chance, about 4% higher based on some statistical analysis that we've looked at for a limb flare. So flares tend to be a little larger and a little bit more likely when they occur at the solar limb. We also have some activity over here. This active region is good too. And there's also a big plasma filament right here. So this area right here, this could erupt and create an Earth-directed coronal mass ejection. So fingers crossed for that. We also have some massive filaments up here. I think these could use names as well. But the hydrogen alpha scope that we usually use to look at the filaments, the site was not up when we checked earlier in the stream. But that's why it's white. It's white because there's a lot of ionized helium in those areas. So where you see black, there's effectively no measured ionized helium there by the GOES 19. But where you see white, there is a lot. White is literally the max that that craft can get at that resolution. So the darker orange areas are areas where there's a moderate amount of ionized helium. The other wavelengths that you can look at here, if you look up the GOES 19 SUVI, if you do a search for that on the website, you'll find multiple different wavelengths there. For example, you'll find 171 angstroms as well. That wavelength is one of the many species of ionized iron that we look at. 94 angstroms is also ionized iron. So there's a whole array, a whole concoction of elements in the sun's corona. And that is what these different wavelengths are looking at. These very specific ions that emit light in a very specific portion of the electromagnetic frequency band. These bands are part of the extreme ultraviolet light. So you can't view this from the ground. These have to be viewed from space. Earth's atmosphere filters out these wavelengths of electromagnetic spectra. And you don't want to be in view of these wavelengths because they will hurt you. They'll burn you because this is ionizing radiation. So extreme ultraviolet, it's filtered out by the time it reaches the ionosphere, I believe. So you have to have a spacecraft to measure this stuff. It cannot even be seen from the ground. Pretty cool, right, Slim? So yeah, maybe we'll just let this run all day. I mean, I can easily just allow this to sit here and run. And anybody can ask questions. It's all in good fun. Interestingly enough, I can solidly do my job and still have this stream running, and it's not really an issue. Okay, never such thing as a stupid question. Now, of course, there are stupid people, so that's a thing to be aware of, right? Stupid people, but there are no stupid questions, right? Because here's why. Ignorance is the root of all knowledge. So you have to not know a thing before you know a thing. So there's no such thing as a stupid question. Ever. If you don't know a thing, at least you've admitted it and you're wise enough to ask. Could they ever make a drone that could go into the sun so we could see it like they do with volcanoes? Yeah, yes. We will eventually make a probe that goes into the sun. Yep, that's going to be a thing. It needs a certain type of shielding, like an electromagnetic force field of some kind, and some of this technology already exists. Can we put it on a spacecraft and send it into the sun today? No, probably not. But will we be able to? Yeah, probably so. So that's actually an awesome question, Wendy. And there are lots and lots and lots of people working on doing exactly what you talked about right now. Guaranteed. I don't got to look it up. By the way, viewers, you may find this interesting. Uh, there is, oh, there are definitely hot spots, black and toasty. Definitely hot spots. Um, so, yeah, I don't know what you're talking about, but I was just going to bring to your attention this little tribute here. Since the Goes 16 SUVI site, it has a tribute to Richard Petty. Look at 43. Oh, wait, is that Kyle Petty? That's Kyle Petty, right? I can't remember. Where are my stock car racing fans? Yeah, definitely some hot spots, dude. Like, don't be surprised to see solar flares coming from this area down here. And thanks for commenting, Black and Toasty. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to press the subscribe button and share with your friends and your foes. Well, thanks for subscribing. And thanks for leaving that. Thanks for asking about the white. Wait, are you the one to ask about the white spots? Hold on. Okay, so let me show you some other wavelengths since you're still in the stream. And hi, Grow a Garden Pro. That's a smart idea, growing a garden. So let me show you another one of our favorite wavelengths. This is 131 angstroms. That is ionized iron. Okay, so this is one of the better wavelengths to show flares. So we'll let this run for a while. Yeah, 131 angstroms. This is actually the hottest wavelength. And the SDO does cover this as well. So the Solar Dynamics Observatory is another spacecraft that also covers this. Um, and yeah, this wavelength, this is the hottest wavelength. I don't remember what the actual temperature is, but let's just say the corona gets pretty hot. It's millions of degrees. I think this is 13 million degrees Fahrenheit or something like that. It's very, very hot. And again, that is ionized iron. So it's iron that is so hot that it's had a number of the electrons ripped away from their outer shells. Yeah, the sun, it has a whole cocktail of ingredients in it that you may not think it has. Because people who understand the sun realize, that it's primarily made of hydrogen and helium. So, in fact, I refer to the jersey. Um, this jersey here, the reason that it's colored the way it is because these represent layers of the sun. That's why we put it in the branding this way. So, the SNN jersey, the reason it looks the way it does is because this section down here, this represents the solar nucleons. Okay. The sun is made of about 73% hydrogen and about 22% helium, something like that. Mostly hydrogen and helium. And that's what this represents. These are the solar nucleons that make up the majority of the sun's mass. Okay. As you come up, and the reason it's black is because sunspots are black. And sunspots, when you see that black area, that's a much more stable part of the sun than up here in the corona where you have all these other crazy elements around. So that's why this looks this way, because the hexagonal pattern that represents a lattice structure. But I'm not going to get into like theories of solar mechanisms and so on. But the solar nucleons are represented here in this black with the hexagonal shape, and then you've got the two different colors here. The orange represents the hydrogen and the purple represents the helium. Then you've got the layers of the sun are the rest of the jersey. So that's why it's colored the way it is. Of course, we have the SNN logo there. Smash News Network, these busted name of news. But yeah, so then you've got this layer here. This represents the chromosphere. Okay, that's the transitional layer between where you see a sunspot and the solar corona, which is where you see all these funky chemicals like this. So this is the solar corona that you're looking at, all right? That's the sun's atmosphere. And yes, there is carbon there as well. Black and Toasty, thanks for asking. That is one of the wavelengths that the SDO covers, but the GOES 19 does not show ionized carbon. So that is the 1600 wavelength, the 1600 angstroms wavelength from the Solar Dynamics Observatory. That is ionized carbon. So that is one of the ones that's covered. And anyway, so that's the chromosphere. That's why it's like red and thin, and it's in between the photosphere and the corona. And then you have these layers are varyingly hotter and hotter. So that's why we have orange then yellow, because orange is a cooler color than yellow, and the outer corona, the K corona, appears to be hotter than the lower corona. So that's why the jersey's colored the way it is. So this represents the photosphere and the solar nucleons. This represents the chromosphere, the transitional layer between the photosphere and the corona. And then here is the corona, the solar atmosphere. This is the part you'd see during an eclipse. And this is the part that you're seeing right now on the GOES 19. Hopefully that helps you understand a little bit more about the solar layers. I know it can be a little tough to understand. But that's, in a nutshell, the layers of the sun. So it's not likely to burn out anytime soon. But the consensus is that the sun will eventually run out of fuel. So when it runs out of its hydrogen fuel, when there is insufficient hydrogen fuel in its core, the sun will become a red giant. At that point, Earth and possibly even out to around Mars may be inside of the outer layers of the sun. What would happen then, we really don't know. Because keep in mind, the gravity doesn't really change very much. So you would expect the planet to get fried. I mean, that's a pretty like logical explanation. If the surface of the star just expands out to where you're inside the star, what would that do? Seems like it might be unhealthful, right? But that's a while. Yeah, that's like 4 billion years from now. So, yeah. And it takes the sun about 250 million years to complete one orbit around the galactic center. I mean, I don't want to say galactic core because the sun doesn't really orbit the galactic core. It orbits the center of mass of the Milky Way galaxy. And it's even more complicated than that too, because there are a lot of things in between this solar system and the core of the galaxy. It's about 26,000 light years away to Sagittarius A star. So you'd have to be traveling at the speed of light for 26,000 years to get to the core of the galaxy. Yeah, we should be able to figure out how to prevent the human race being destroyed. If we have 4 billion years, I think that might be enough time to figure out how to like harness all the power of a star and probably a galaxy, and if not the entire universe, right? If the species is around for 4 billion more years, I think they'll probably be okay. Aliens are watching and laughing at us. Like the level of dumb, I mean, look, the human species right now has access to more information than it's ever had, ever. There are billions and billions of Android devices out there. Like, there's a guy with a dirt floor right now starting up a smartphone. He doesn't have electricity or plumbing, but he has a smartphone. So, like, the access to information to ignorance ratio is higher than it's ever been and higher than it'll ever be again, probably. Because look, nothing's going to happen that's going to destroy all technology. It's just not happening. Too many things are shielded. There are too many deep underground military bunkers, and like it's the human species is more reinforced now than it's ever been. So this idea that some crazy thing's going to happen and like civilization's going to be destroyed is just hilarious. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I mean, no, a Carrington event isn't gonna end civilization. It just isn't. Like, I mean, people say that all the time about space weather, but it isn't true. So there's that. Like, yeah, it could knock out a major power grid for an extended period of time, but it's unlikely that it would knock out a first world power grid for an extended period of time because it'll shut itself down. The grids electronically sense the induction and then they shut down. They don't burn up the transformers. Like this isn't 1950. So yeah, and not only that, communications don't shut down. Even if you have an EMP, like you have no idea how shielded the communications grid is in the US. If it's double generator backup, like, I mean, yo, if you're a foreign nation thinking of invading the US, do yourself a favor and don't. It's a terrible idea. The stuff that remember like you know the cliche that the Japanese admiral was attributed with, where he said there's a rifle behind every blade of grass. It's a lot worse than that. It's a lot worse than a rifle behind every blade of grass. There's a sensor, a rifle, a drone, like a mortar. It's a lot worse than a rifle behind every blade of grass. Believe me. Like, don't invade the U.S. It it would make people angry with you. To quote Bruce Banner, you wouldn't like me when I'm angry. I make a great ally, though. I make a great ally. Yada yada, type 2 civilizations, solar flare would wipe out power for 15 years. See, that's where you're wrong, mountain bike addict. That's not true. A solar flare would not wipe out power for 15 years. First of all, a solar flare isn't going to wipe out power at all because a solar flare is X-rays. So you should get a clue what you're talking about, then leave comments. It's much better. And it's the Carrington event, not the Carotene event. Actually, we don't really know what the equivalent would be. Some people say it would be an X100, but it's all conjecture because it wasn't measured. So who cares what it would be? The flare is not any kind of a proportion of the size of the CME impact. Coronal mass ejections are protons. Solar flares are photons. They're a completely different phenomenon. So you're conflating them, and you shouldn't because it makes you wrong. I swear aliens tie my cables in lots of knots when I'm asleep. I know. How do cables get tied up? It's one of life's great mysteries, along with lost socks. We can't stop an X50 solar flare. Yeah, you can't stop a solar flare. Definitely can't. But I don't know what that has to do with anything. Mountain bike addict. Maybe maybe you're putting too much mountain bike into your veins and insufficient learning about solar phenomena. Cut back on the mountain bike, increase the solar info. Boogeyman says, "What circus is this?" It's Joe's circus. It's Joe's circus, Boogie. Boggy man. Boggy man. Do you bog snorkel? We want to know. Let us know in the comments. Are you a bog snorkeler? I find it amusing. Bog snorkeling. I've never done it, but I am Scottish, so I would try it. No transformers would in time stop X50 flare. Okay, dude, get a clue, mountain bike addict. You have no idea what you're talking about, dude. Stick to mountain biking if you're good at it, because you don't understand space weather. Dylan Hamilton says, "No, mate, you're wrong." Mountain bike addict says, "Sorry, you're wrong." At least he's a polite mountain bike addict. Well, Dylan, you're incorrect. A solar flare is not going to shut down the power grid. It, a solar flare is not a coronal mass ejection. So get a clue. Like, yeah, a big solar flare can cause a minor EMP event. There can be a solar energetic particle event. There can be all kinds of radiation, ground level events. There can be health effects from things. But does a flare shut down a grid? Categorically, no. It's X-rays. Well, when you say a solar flare, you should be talking about a CME because a solar flare and a CME aren't the same thing. You are dumb. Have you hit your head a lot while mountain biking? Because a solar flare and a CME are not the same thing. As I've just explained, are you deaf? Solar flares are photons. Coronal mass ejections are protons. So let me do a demonstration for you, mountain bike addict, since you have no idea what you're talking about. Watch this. See that? That's photons. That's my flashlight. Here's more photons. See that? That's a higher density. Now watch this. Are you ready? I'm going to demonstrate protons. Did you hear that? That's protons. Protons and photons are different things, dude. Actually, I'm a retired pro mountain bike racer. And now I'm a time trial specialist. So now I only race on the road, but I can still go very, very fast and ride all the most technical stuff that there is. I can ride the most technical stuff that there is, and I learned to race bikes on the rockiest parts of the world. So I've raced at Michaud 3 times. Um, so yeah, I ride road and I do time trials. That's my specialty. My team is theveloshop.net, and I'll probably smoke you off road. My license has a category 1 for cross country mountain bike. So I'll smoke you, dude. Come to Lehigh Valley. I'll light you up both uphill and down. If you have an addiction, that might be unhealthy. Oh, and and yes, I'm currently paid to ride bikes. What about you? What you don't want to do is try to go uphill with me. That's where things will really, you know, power to weight ratio. I weigh 170 and I can put out about 1200 watts. So there's that. So I actually want to create a league. I want to create a league two different leagues. One is a demo derby league on bikes, and the other one is football. I want to play football, U.S. style football on bikes. What do you think? Would you like to catch a pass? Would you like to catch a pass while I'm playing cornerback on a bike? Because um, I'll buy a full face. In fact, I'll wear a football helmet. I'll wear a football helmet and a full kit. I'll wear a full football kit and I'll ride a trials bike maybe? No, I guess not a trials bike. I guess just like a one by rigid frame mountain bike. Chromoly frame, chromoly fork, designed to crash into other bikes. Yeah, football on the bike. Why not? Like it seems like a thing. Maybe we have to expand the field, make the field 150 yards or something. But yeah, I just or maybe have slightly smaller teams. Maybe have like six on a team or eight on a team. I think it would work. Get some specific knobby tires and stuff. Um, all right, yeah. I mean, dude, I'd love it. Like if we could, if you could help organize a bicycle football league, I would play. I swear to you, if there was like a football game going on out there right now, I'd be like, sorry, I gotta go play football now instead of whatever it is I was doing before. So yeah, I have a penchant for violence. But yeah, if you work in concrete, you can probably do a pull up. So cheers. But I'll smoke you uphill, dude. Like, I mean, you think you know, but you have no idea. Yeah, I can't carry like 100-pound bags of stuff. No, hell no. And I don't want to. I'm specialized to do a certain thing. And when I go fast, it's scary fast. Like I have to ride in specific places because it becomes a liability. Like literally riding on public roads is a problem sometimes. When you start passing cars, you know you might be pushing the boundary too far. It's a thing. Ask people. I usually never race a car unless I'm going to win. All right. Anyway, I'm out of here. I will leave the stream running. And 100 pull-ups a day. Yeah, I'd say you've got some upper body strength that I would lack. But okay, mountain bike addict, go carry concrete. Have fun. We're gonna switch back well, actually, let's show the 94 angstroms wavelength. Cue up the 94 angstroms wavelength, darling. There we go. And I'll just leave the stream running. Feel free to leave a comment, folks. I will be nearby, perhaps responding to your commentary. Welcome, Blue Dude. That is my voice. It's definitely not Joe's voice. Incidentally, I'm planning a career as a cartoon villain. You know, just the kind of villain who casts souls into ever deepening and darkening abysses of doo-doo, diarrhea, and, of course, dastardly, demonic dildos. You're scared of dastardly demonic dildos? I would be scared of them as well. Are you called Blue Dude because you're from Blue Man Group or what? Can you sing, dance, and catch stuff in your mouth? Oh, you missed the bus and now you get to skip school. I'm sure it was completely by accident. Yeah, I would have never done such a thing. I totally never intentionally skipped school when I was a kid. In any case, welcome to the live stream. You got questions about space weather? We got answers. So somebody said, what is that? That is the closest star, the local yellow dwarf, El Sol, otherwise known as the Sun. We're viewing the 304 angstroms wavelength here, ionized helium. And I was zoomed in on that setting active region there in the southwest because that is the most likely place to see a large solar flare, or a flare in general. So that's what we're showing. And thanks for leaving comments, each of you who has. Yeah, viewers, if you ever want to send us an instant message, you can always view us on Discord. So there is a chat in there, and there's a permanent invite link on our homepage at smashomash.com. So visit that link, find us on the socials, press share, and so on. We will be using Discord in the future, not only to allow our viewers to participate in live stream events, but also to stream video, gaming, maybe D&D games. Who knows? There's all kinds of stuff coming to the channel. And so it's a super exciting time to be building one. And thanks to everybody for being part of that building. I see we've got 4 viewers. Don't forget to press the like button. If you're new to the channel, press subscribe. As we stream on for fun. Looking at the GOES 19 SUVI 304 angstroms ionized helium wavelengths. Leave us a comment and press share. Tell your friends and foes about the channel. What up, Bruce? Nice timing, man. Nice timing, Bruce. I am just taking a little break here, taking a little break from busting my hump, talking to accountants. Yeah, talking to accountants. So, hey, what's going on, Bruce? How are things in how are things? How's spring treating you so far? How's spring? So I've got to take a leisurely stroll, which is what I often do on a day like today. It's a rainy day and no no riding planned anyway, even if it would have been a beautiful day. I would have done zero riding because it's I'm overtrained. So you're warning you're warming your sofa together with cats. Oh, wet and cold, huh? All right. Well, hopefully your spring warms up. Maybe we'll cover your weather in tomorrow's morning video. All right, folks, it's time to end this stream. Ending this stream. So we'll see you next time here at the Smash News Network, these Busted Damon News. Thanks to everybody who tuned in, and until next time, may that solar wind be at your back.